Why can the 49ers win this matchup?
Oh, this one against the Seahawks?
Yeah, against
Oh,
Seahawks.
because they're better than the Seahawks, flat out. Because I mean, with like they can, they can just impose their will. They can run. They ran for 170 in the last game. They can run for 200 yards. They could probably sack Geno Smith 4 or 5 times. That's the game right there. And that's just like Pete Carroll said it this week. He said that the Niners don't really try to fool you on defense and they don't bring a lot of pressure. Like, yeah, like they're really good. They just show you the coverage they're going to play. Yeah. They rush 4, and it's like, we're better than you. We're better than you. Like, force us to disguise our coverage or bring pressure. Why would we do tricky stuff like that when we can just be as simple as possible and kick your ass? I mean, that's the Niners' philosophy on defense. And they have been getting exposed a little bit the last few weeks. But it kind of feels to me like the Niners were just like, you know what, we clinched. We're going to – because there were games where their pass rush wasn't there. Their pass rush was kind of absent in those until like the second half of the Cardinals game. And they turned it up and really knocked around David Blau. But I have a feeling that their pass rush is going to be supercharged against the Seahawks, and Geno Smith's going to have a tough time.
Yeah. To me, with the pass rush, the main thing is finishing. Like, for the 49ers, in that Jarrett Stidham game, you would have thought Jarrett Stidham really, like, the 49ers couldn't get to George Stidham. That's wrong, and that's true. Jarrett Stidham got pressured, I think, 26 times in that game. That's phenomenal by the 49ers. How many sacks, though, did that 26 pressures result to? 0. That cannot be happening. You need to get to the quarterback, but you also need to finish. That's something.
And a lot of times those pressures create scramble lanes that lead to first down. So pressures aren't always like the end all be all. You know, if you're pressuring the quarterback but running past him and giving up a first down, like, I don't know, like, maybe the pressure wasn't great. Maybe you should just maintain your gap and I don't know. I'm just saying. But hold on.
No, I think
we're talking pass rush, right?
Yeah.
We're talking pass rush, right? Well, part of the problem with the pass rush is it's very Nick Bosa dependent. And he's been super consistent all year, obviously. But if there's a game where he just doesn't have it, who's stepping up? So far, it hasn't been Armstead this year. Maybe, I mean, he always could. He always has it in him to be like the best player on the field, but he had 0 sacks this year. Amenahu, maybe. Jordan Willis starting to look really good, but like there isn't that second pass rusher on the team that you feel super confident about showing up every game.
Yeah, I don't know. So to me, I think it is Amenahu. When you look at the statistics, he's the guy who really shows out in terms of pass rush win rate. He's actually top 10 in the NFL in pass rush win rate it's about 22%. The only thing is, well, he showcased that without Nick Bosa. In the one game he had without Nick Bosa, the team did not do well. Amenahu, I think the team only had 10 pressures in that one game way back, but they only had 10 pressures. What was it? The Atlanta Falcons without Nick Bosa. And that's a big deal. 10 pressures going from 26 to 10. It changes the outlook of your team. And I think Amenahu in one-on-one situations is great. Armstead can also do his thing in one-on-one situations, but
still,
right.
though, Amenahu, I mean, 4.5 sacks in 17 games with that win rate, you'd think he'd play more. Why do you think he doesn't play more?
That's a good question.
I got a theory. I think he's pretty bad against the run.
He is.
I think he's pretty bad against the run, and I think he's almost like when he's in, you want to run at him because he doesn't set the edge or whatever. So I'm just saying, I think there's a reason he's not in there more. But he is a good player. Like, he's a hell of a pass rush, especially from the interior. He even looks better than Arden Key last year.
He is better than Arden Key.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say.
We'll see. We'll see.
You know, he's 25. He's young. I didn't know that. 25.
I knew only because we traded for him on his rookie deal. Like, that's why he's making cheap dirt this year, because he's on his rookie deal still.
You'd think, like, man, he'd be at 260, he'd be a monster, like defensive end. But really, he's not a good run defender. So you better off just playing him in passing downs and put him in the interior and let him go. He's good at that for sure. It'd be nice if Armstead would pick it up because, again, he has the ability to dominate games. We've seen him do it. He only does it a few times a year. He hasn't really dominated a game yet. Hey, man, it doesn't even have to be this one. Have it be the Super Bowl. But, yeah, Armstead needs to – I think at some point needs to, like, be the guy that everyone says he is.
I think Armstead was really promising week 16. Week 16, in my opinion, was his best game that he put on tape. But then he followed it up with potentially his worst game in week 17. He had 1 pressure and 33 pass rush snaps. That's really not that great. And I understand he gets double teamed a lot. But
and he's been hurt, and maybe he's pacing himself, whatever. But, yeah, it's time.
But then again, this is the playoffs. This is a great opponent for you to start getting it for start kind of getting it started. But I think Armstead can fix it around, like in terms of his impact. He's obviously going to be a good run defender.
He's such a good athlete. Real quick, a little story about how good of an athlete Eric Armstead is. I was interviewing a guy who is a Falcons podcaster, used to work for Scout.com, used to do the rankings for Scout.com, was scouting Eric Armstead in high school, and they were going to make him the #1 recruit in the nation if he was an offensive tackle. But he wanted to play defense. He would have been the #1 recruit in the nation, regardless of position, if he were an offensive tackle. That's how good of a freaking athlete he was. And he went to Oregon, played D tackle and basketball. Hell of an athlete.
Yeah,
hell of an athlete.
That he is. Yeah. That he is.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be that force on the interior. Him with or without Kinlaw, he's gonna be that force on the interior. I do think that this is the time where Armstead really is gonna start to break out the playoffs. We'll see if that comes true.
Yeah, because he's always good against the run. I'm not trying to say like he's a bad player. He's a really good player. He's a really good player, but he has the ability to be an impact player more than someone who's solid and does his job. He has the ability to take over games. We've seen him do it, and he's not going to need to do that this week. I don't think, but eventually they might need him, and they pay him to. So I think if he's like pacing himself to do it the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, then great, wonderful.
Hey, if that happens, that happens.
Yeah.
Yep. I think even last year, remember in the playoffs, Armstead went off. I remember he had 6 sacks or something in his last 4 games.
But he didn't do anything in the NFC Championship game, and then 3 years ago he didn't do anything in the Super Bowl. So if he needs to finish on a hot, finish well, and I think that's what he's building up to. I think that's his plan.
Yeah, we'll see.